TADA Welcome. I am Joseph. I'd like to welcome you all to a series of YouTube videos all about my hi-fi system and my pursuit for sumptuous sound. Needless to say, for some people you may not know me, so this is the introduction video, a good chance for you to just find out a bit about who I am and what I've been up to. For those of you that do know me and are a little concerned you might not recognize me, yes, it is me. I do have grey hair. It's taken this many years to get to where we are, but of course you know it's me. I've got my legendary 2 pens I always carry with me, and you know I never leave the house without wearing a pair of Nike Air Max with a red swoosh on them. Needless to say, ta-da! Right, okay, so that gets that out of the way now, so we'll just get started. I'm going to try and keep these videos very digestible. I want to keep them sort of under 5 minutes. Except for this first one, the introduction, because we've got a bit to cover, so it's probably going to be closer to about 10 minutes, but we'll try and stay focused where we can. I tend to waffle sometimes, and I apologise for that. Needless to say, we're going to kick this video off out here in the shed, because we've been building our dream home for the past few years, and needless to say, prior to that, for however many years I can remember, my prized treasures, records, have been housed in these crates, which are now set for retirement. I want to say archival because I get a lot of records that are donated to me and or that I've accumulated that may not be my exact cup of tea. So as a result, we'll probably repurpose those cases accordingly and use them. So yeah, but we'd start out here. The shed's very much still in progress. As you can see, let me just put that slat wall up. I've still got a lot of work to do. But needless to say, the video, the sections are going to be broken up into different videos. So there'll be one on the speakers, one on the amplifier, Pioneer SX 1980, of course. If you are all about that, like I would be, I'd head straight over there. Video number 6. That's my wedding anniversary. So I don't forget it. But head over there if you want to start there, and then you might track your way back through. It's usually what I do when I join a series of videos on YouTube. But they will be into different categories, and they'll be numbered. So we'll talk about the cables, we'll talk about the cabinet, the speakers, CD player, turntable, all of that sort of stuff. Now, of course, it's a YouTube channel, but unlike the others, because I know we're all busy following people and doing stuff, you don't have to subscribe, or subscribe, as some people call them. You certainly don't need to follow or like or any of that stuff. The videos will just, with other projects I do, will just come up and turn up randomly, so don't really stress too much. By all means, do leave a comment. I'd love to try and get back to you, have a bit of a discussion. I am definitely not proclaiming to be a audiophile. I'm certainly no expert in this. This is just my adaptation of what I've been trying to do to get my hi-fi to where it is now. So at the end of the day, it's never going to be a finished project. I think we all can agree with that. I would love to aspire to perhaps a Macintosh or PS Audio setup or something like that. They're realistic things we could do, but all in good time, and you'll see why in this introduction, as well as to why I haven't done that yet. And of course, money and space is always going to be a constraint. But without further ado though, I run my own IT consultancy business, so in the tech world I'm usually pretty savvy with things that are going on. We've also built our own studio in the house. I won't be tracking any movies or recording any bands or anything like that. In fact, even this production I'm doing now has got nothing to do with that. This is very much a shoot it and get it up onto YouTube. I've been at this for many years trying to get this happening, and I just have these grey fears sometimes that I'll never get a chance to get the project finished and put it online and let the rest of the world see what I've been up to. So here we are, and of course, as you can imagine, we may fine-tune it and update it as we go along, but at least we've got a foundation to start upon, and that's, I guess, what it's all about. The second half of what I do is we also run our own entertainment business, so that sees a good many nights and weekends invested into everything from jumping up and down, doing a school disco, to, of course, just putting that polished soundtrack onto a couple's wedding. I absolutely love the music. It goes without saying, whether it be classical, whether it be opera, rock and roll, hip-hop, R&B, rap, I mean, electronic, obviously that's a massive influence. All of that stuff. I just love music, and I love sound, you know, even if it's just we're trying to decipher that warble in the Smashing Pumpkins 1979, whether it is that opening ping in the echoes from Pink Floyd, or indeed that wonderful chime from the AC/DC bell that was cast for them for Hell's Bells. Needless to say, I just love it all. And when I'm DJing, most of the time I am standing behind front of house, so I'm not always hearing the sound at its very best. So there's nothing like quite like coming home after a gig, popping the record on, and just pure indulgence. Needless to say, though, I do have other interests as well. I do like model railways, and that's another project, a bigger one that's going on at the moment. I like my Hot Wheels matchboxes, toys. One of my favourite collections is potato chip wrappers, indeed crisps, as the UK population know them as. I can't explain why exactly. Of course, they taste good, but needless to say, it could just be the artwork, really. I don't know. I'm sure some of us are guilty of just buying records because we like the LP cover. It looked fantastic. I'm guilty of that. I'm sure I'll share a record or two with you about why I even bought that. But transgressing away from that just for a moment, we'll get into the thank yous and all the rest to make all this happen. So at the end of the day, I guess first and foremost, it's got to be my wife. She's exceptionally tolerant, and I couldn't be thankful enough. She's let me pursue what I'd like to do, but she loves music just as much as I do. So this really is something that benefits us both. But of course, I sometimes take things a little bit further, and I appreciate her patience in that. Needless to say, happy wife, happy life. Now, that's something you're going to hear a lot in the videos, and please don't get me wrong. That's not just me being an MC at a wedding and often using that statement. It's a great thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. Take the speaker video, for example. I'm with the rest of you. I agree. The speakers should be off of the wall and should breathe a bit. When they first arrived, they were, and they sounded brilliant. But it goes without saying, we do have limited funding. We do have limited space, even though we allocated this room for the hi-fi there. There's only so big it can be. So, like many people, they are where they are. Of course, it looks practical. It sounds, of course, still great. I have no qualms with that. We'll talk about that in the room setup, about what I did to make it just sound brilliant. So I've got no complaints there, but no, really, thanks to my wife. Of course, then we would really need to just move on to my mother and father. I mean, without their musical influence, I probably wouldn't be standing here today. I wouldn't be standing here today, but here I am, still alive. I'd like to thank my brother, John's life. Thanks so much. And of course, a special mention needs to go to my Uncle Eddie. It goes without saying, I would have been, he'd be the member in the family that definitely was into the hi-fi and all the rest, probably in its golden age as well. And I certainly remember B&W speakers, Yamaha. He just had the business. It was everything you think it should be when we went to visit them. But certainly what I can never ever forget is when I was a small little person, single digits, we went around to their house. I couldn't tell you what we were watching, whether it was a movie or whether it was a TV show. All I remember is I was sitting on the floor and I had my eyes fixated. Through that glass cabinet was a hi-fi stereo video cassette recorder, and I just loved watching those VU meters jumping up and down. In fact, I'm sure it was a Sharp, if I'm not mistaken, and it was actually left to right. They were in a horizontal position. Oh, outstanding. And you can see that in the YouTube videos. I don't just love to hear the sound, I like to see it. So of course the spectrum analyzers and all of that, we'll get to all that as we go. Needless to say, as we carry on, obviously we've got fellow YouTube providers. Big thanks to Dave Ratt from Ratt Audio, who's always given us sound advice to deal with our pro audio applications and all the rest. Always steered us in the right direction there. We've got people like Steve Guttenberg, the audiophiliac, who it would be great if he was here doing the video the way he does them. Of course, continents separate us. Needless to say, I do hope I get a chance to chat with him one day, and if he's ever my way, I'd love him to come and see the system. Of course, Paul from PS Audio, always some great zingers to be had there. On that particular channel. I've also heard my fair share of Snake Oil too, which is a wonderful channel to indulge in. Of course, we've got people like David Frick from Rolling Stone magazine, Charlie from Chadwick Railway. Sorry, I know that's model railway, but he does have some entertaining things, good marriage advice and the rest of it, but also just generally on YouTube and making YouTube videos and things like that. The Wasp guy, just look up Wasp guy, what a champion. Techmoan, always entertaining videos there, that goes without saying. I suppose if we if we just move on now to a couple of mentors, it would be Neil from 5YYY Radio in Whyalla, soundtrack to my youth, it goes without saying. And of course, where I'm living now, where could I be without my good friend Davo, Rebel FM, rock and roll brother, keep pumping those bangers. Needless to say, there's lots of other people I could be mentioning. My cabinet maker, absolutely outstanding stuff. Even my window cleaner, Paul Sims, what an absolute Aussie champion there. All about keeping that Aussie pub rock alive. I just absolutely love it. So thanks again for that. We'll just try and keep this short. Needless to say, I could go on forever. But of course, the next video we're going to go into is going to be about the music inspirations. Tremendous artwork that I created here, which we'll be discussing that and just about my influences and what I like to hear and how it all sort of came about. And then from there, we'll have a video then. Video number 3 will be about the room or the soundstage. Number 4 about the cabinet and how that was sort of done. Needless to say, that all started from the pouring of the concrete in the house. So kind of important stuff to see there. Number 5, we'll be talking about the cables that I interconnect everything with and the power and how that's all done. Number 6, as I said, the amplifier. The 6th, my wedding anniversary. How can I ever possibly forget it? Needless to say, we'll move on to number 7. Probably be talking about the CD player and how we stream our digital audio through from our phones and things like that. Probably move on to number 8 and be talking about turntables and things there. Number 9, we'll just carry on about the speakers, that goes without saying. 10, we'll talk about the meters and spectrum analyzers and maybe a bit about the future and about what might happen next. And well, number 11 will be, I think we'll probably wrap things up with the antenna. It's not an AM loop antenna, and it's certainly not a piece of wire in an FM dipole situation. It's a little bit different, and I think you'll enjoy that. In the meantime, though, certainly sit back and relax and enjoy the videos. Thanks so much.